Greetings everyone. 6 days ago, we recorded a video titled Deportation of Migrants is Costly. In that video, we said that South African government spent 23 million rands to deport migrants in the 2022-2023 financial year. Of course, when we said it is costly to deport migrants, others who shared their comments in the comment section said we should not worry because it's not our money. The Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Stryber, responding to a question from an EFF Member of Parliament, says in the last 5 months, South Africa spent about 52 million rands to deport 19,000 migrants. And we still maintain that it is costly to deport migrants because we believe that there's an alternative. The Gauteng MEC for Economic Development, Lebogang Maile, has argued migrants who are not documented to return back home. In an article, he says, I quote, "Illegal people must go. How do you rationalize that when it's illegal, it is illegal? The police must come in. What else is it that must be put to the country? They must go. They must go. The laws of the country must be adhered to. And that said, I'm not in law enforcement. Police must do their work, but also Home Affairs. At Home Affairs, when you are illegal, then you must go. If you don't go, you get arrested, close quote." What MEC Maile, Mrs. and others, of course, other government officials, is the whole political foreign policy of the South African government towards some other African countries, particularly Zimbabwe. This is where they are missing it. Because what is the relationship or what is the benefit of an ANC ZANU-PF relationship? Because Comrade Mamaile cannot be blind, Comrade Lebogang cannot be blind to the fact that the African National Congress is in a relationship with the ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF, which adopted neoliberal policies in 1991 in Zimbabwe, which accelerated the destruction of the Zimbabwean economy. So he cannot be blind to this reality. On one hand, treat ZANU-PF as friends, but attack the victims of the ZANU-PF misrule and says they must go back. Then you proclaim that you are a Pan-Africanist. It cannot be correct. It cannot be correct that you attack victims of political persecution, victims of economic mismanagement. You then say they must be deported to their countries of origin. At the political level, you then protect the political elite of those countries. It cannot be correct. Because Pan-Africanism itself, let me quote a brief definition of Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is a political movement that aspires to develop international solidarity between Africans and descendants of Africans, close quote. That's what we understand to be Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is not about protecting the political elite. It is about building people-to-people solidarity. So you cannot claim that migrants must be deported back to their countries of origin, because there is a local government election coming in 2026 in South Africa. At the same time, you are friends with the political elite in those countries that has created conditions for their citizens to leave and they flock to South Africa. That is a contradiction. So Comrade Lebo Hang and others must reflect on this relationship because it cannot be correct. This is why you are saying, if the African National Congress continues to be in a relationship with the ZANU-PF, it therefore follows that Zimbabweans and other migrants in South Africa who are not documented must be documented by the South African government. There's no contradiction there. Because you cannot claim that ZANU-PF is your sister party as the African National Congress, but arrest the citizens of Zimbabwe for being in the country illegal, want to deport them. It cannot be correct. So we are saying that deporting migrants is not the solution. And it goes against the spirit of Pan-Africanism. It goes against the spirit of solidarity. What we have said is that we must discuss the push factors. So you can't tell someone who's selling sweets pre-tax rank and say you are illegally, we bank you in a van, you go back. We must begin to say, why is it that Africans are leaving their countries for South Africa? ZANU-PF becomes your sister party. The same ZANU-PF have active political structures in South Africa. And you are saying every Zimbabwean undocumented and other migrants must be deported. So if the African National Congress-led government cannot document migrants and wants them to be deported, the first thing that must do is to cut ties with the ZANU-PF. Because in the eyes of Zimbabweans, the ANC has always protected the ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe. And the result is that then the majority of the Zimbabweans flock to South Africa because of the protection that is ZANU-PF it gets from the African National Congress. Because you cannot claim to be Pan-Africanist in the context of ZANU-PF. When you adopt neoliberal policies, which are not Pan-African in nature, you destroy your own economy. You loot resources meant for the people. Then your own citizens leave the country in droves. But to proclaim to be Pan-African and seek solidarity with others and claim to be victims of imperialist forces, when you were created by imperialist forces yourselves, it cannot be correct. So it is wrong for Comrade Lebohang to say migrants must be deported, undocumented migrants must be deported. The ANC must reflect, review its relationship with the ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF is not a victim of imperialist forces. ZANU-PF was established by imperialist forces in 1963. The American diplomat Andrew Young celebrated the victory of ZANU-PF in 1980, when ZANU-PF committed a genocide in the 80s. The imperialist forces never said a thing. They only turned against the ZANU-PF when Mugabe went to protect President Kabila in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Then you cannot say, because of the actions of Mugabe, ZANU-PF has always been progressive to an extent that it must be protected from the people of Zimbabwe, who have constantly voted against it. The ANC was not protected by anyone when it scored 40%. No one, no other national liberation movement said, no, we'll assist the ANC to rig elections. No, the ANC accepted the verdict of the people. And it is the ANC political leadership that goes all over the world explaining that in South Africa themselves voted for a government of national unity. But when Zimbabweans vote against ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe, it is the ANC that protects ZANU-PF, and that must stop. Because the result, as I've said, as I'm concluding, is that we then have this huge influx to South Africa from Zimbabwe. And South African government must take responsibility to document Zimbabweans. If it cannot document Zimbabweans, it must cut ties. The ANC must cut ties with the ZANU-PF. Please write in the comment section, like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you're on TikTok, please do follow us. Amandla, comrades.